Right, folks, welcome back to the podcast. This week, episode 44, Aaron Mitchell. How you doing, bud?
Hello, how are you?
All good, man. All good, all good. Sorry, we had a slight technical issue there, folks. I couldn't remember what number episode this was. But anyway, let's crack on. Mate, I have been trying to get you on this for ages. Ages.
I know, and I apologise.
You're a bad person.
Yeah, I am. I'm a bad person. That's it.
No worries. You've been a busy man, haven't you?
I have been, but we could have definitely done this a lot sooner. That's for sure.
Don't tell me that. Don't tell me that. Right, first things first, as our conversations normally are, shall we get the beer going? This is one of the... I've got 3 more cans of this Czech beer that False Neutral sent me. Thank you very much, David. Let's get this one. This one is called Krusovic? Something that one.
Okay, very nice.
What you on?
I'm on the Corona. No relevance to what's going on in the world at all. Okay, it's just it was in the fridge and it's nice. We've even got
Trust
a little line.
you to be topical, Aaron. Slange.
I do have a brew dog as well.
Good boy.
So I've got some brew dogs as well. So yeah.
I've run out of Brewdog. Hint, Brewdog. I've run out of Brewdog. What can I say? Right, mate. Before we crack on with our chit chat, I'll do what I do every week, really, and I'll pass it over to you. What's your name? Where'd you come from? What you do? Aaron Mitchell.
Okay, yeah, my name's Aaron Mitchell. Yeah, where do I come from? Yeah, I live down in Kent. Okay, in England. I've spent all my life living in England. What do I do? That's an interesting one. I do a lot of different stuff. So I'm still employed.
Can I give you a hint? Can I give you one hint? Can I give you one hint? Please mention your round the world trip, because so many people come on here and don't mention like the main thing.
Okay, yeah. I mean, This is a bike podcast, isn't it?
Oh, man. No. See, this podcast is all about. This is all about the live your life side of TeapotOne, right? So it's people I find interesting, people that I find quite inspirational. It's that sort of stuff, people with a story to tell. You are one of them. Over to you.
All right, no pressure. So 2016, I decided to take a motorbike, Suzuki DRZ400. Headed across Europe, went across Russia, Mongolia, into North America, and then basically came all the way down the Americas, and then flew back to Europe and back home. And I was gone for 505 days. Yep.
Mental.
It's good fun.
Awesome.
I mean, I didn't do it on a super bike.
No,
that's pretty.
But I mean, you know yourself. Any bike will do it, won't it? It's down to your attitude when you're on the trip, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. Mate, I spent £1,600 on my bike.
Wow.
£1,600, and I mean, I had a little bit of a problem with the engine when I got into Russia, and I was stuck in Moscow for about 2 weeks, and that was simply just trying to get a part in from Europe. If I was in Europe, I'd have been on my way, within 2 days. But it was just getting the part in. Apart from that, I had a chain brake, which, I mean, that can happen, can't it? I had no problems at all.
Yeah.
And I did very little maintenance on the bike. I just kept putting oil into it, kept putting fuel into it, and just twisting that throttle. And it just took me all the way. It's not the fastest, but I didn't need to go fast.
It is stunning what bikes will put up with, what abuse they put up with, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, the things, yourself, on a trip like that, the things you put a bike through, you wouldn't dream. I would say the vast majority of people would never dream of putting a machine through the abuse that they get put through just on a day-to-day basis on a trip like that,
Yeah, I mean, I've perfected the art of crashing. I really have. I crashed so many times. Like, I mean, I remember when I got to Mongolia, I'd never ridden sand before.
Blimey.
And, and I was...
What a way to learn.
Say again?
What a way to learn.
Yeah, well...
Mongolia.
So the night before... because we knew that we was going across some sand. The night before, I managed to find some internet, and I even went onto YouTube to try and find some videos of how to ride a motorbike in sand. It didn't work too well. I mean, I definitely learnt the hard way. I had a proper high side in the sand. I was upside down. The motorbike was upside down. But yeah, we rolled, and that's where I was real grateful for a lightweight bike and soft luggage. That could have ended a lot worse, but it didn't. So it's all
definitely. Mate, there are loads of questions and things that we can chat about on the trip, but I think if you're okay with it, I think we should sort of set the scene a little bit as to who you were before the trip, what you've been up to since you've come back, and then if you're happy after that, we can just dive into the questions and fire through them.
Yeah. Sounds good. All right. Well, so I mean, my background since I was 18 has been in the military. So 18, I joined the army, joined the infantry, went on a couple of operational tours, Northern Ireland, Iraq, then got out the military. Went backpacking for a year with a friend of mine around the world, came back, missed the military side of life, but I didn't want to go back in as a regular soldier, so I joined as an army reservist. So, I was doing it part-time, trained up in bomb disposal. And then in 2010, I deployed to Afghanistan on a bomb disposal tour. Came back, had a bit of a wobbly in life, everything sort of up here went a bit downhill, relationship ended, all that sort of stuff. But then that kind of had a bit of a knee-jerk reaction and knew that, I needed to go and change my life. So that's where the motorbike trip came into play, came up with the idea. I remember I had a few ideas, and I remember going to my family and saying, look, I've got 3 ideas. Which ones do you think I should do? I think it was ride the motorbike around the world. I think there was a kayak trip around the whole of the British Isles, I think it was. And I think I was going to do like a London to Sydney, without using any airplanes. I just wanted to do like a big thing. And when I said to them, I've got a big family. I've got 5 brothers and 3 sisters. And I was like, which one do you think I should do? And they were like, you should do the motorbike one. And I think I'd only had a license. I mean, it was less than a year that I had a bike license. And I was like, okay. So, straight onto YouTube, started seeing if it could be done. And, that's where I came across Austin Vince. So, and I watched all of Mondo Enduro, read the books and stuff like that. So he was definitely an inspiration. That's why, I wanted to go across Russia and sort of into Siberia. And I think that's why I chose the DRZ400. I remember messaging him saying, hey man, look, I'm doing this trip, really inspired by your trip, one of those. I was one of those people at the beginning. And I said to him that I'm on a DRZ400, and he was like, "Oh, big bike," because he had a DR350, didn't they? But yeah, so it's really good. He gave me loads of advice. Same as Sam Manicom as well. He reached out to me, gave me loads of advice. Yourself as well, because we've got a mutual friend.
Yeah, Matt. Matt. That's how you came on my radar, Matt.
From your book work. And everything. So that was great. So thank you very much for that. And and then I just set off on the trip. So that was 505 days. Jeez, what have I done since I've been back? Having a relationship with a woman that lives in Brazil. I met her on the trip in Argentina.
During COVID. Well. That must be fun. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's been over 3 months now since we've seen each other.
Oh,
and
wow,
obviously
man.
she lives in Brazil, which is on the red list. We've got at least another 3 months, I reckon, before we can even think about when we might be able to see each other. So, yeah, it's tough, but, we're doing well. We've been together about 3.5 years now, I think. And then since then, just working self-employed, just earning some money, lots of travel, lots of rock climbing trips, and just having fun.
You've done a few expedition tours, haven't you? You've led a couple now.
Yes. So when I got back from the trip, so a company, a guy called Chris from this company. Can I mention the company?
Of course you can, mate. Yeah. Plug whatever you like.
Right, okay. I mean, it's a nice little plug for him. Yeah. So there's a company out in Sweden called Explore 360. They do tours out to Nepal, Vietnam. They go to South Africa, Iceland. Some really great places. Yeah. And and he sent me a message, and he's ex-military as well. And he was like, hey, I was following your trip, and how would you like to come work for me? And I was like, okay. And basically the interview for the job was, I wouldn't get paid, but I'm going on an all expenses trip to Nepal to work alongside him. And if we get along well, then I'll be the tour guide and run all the tours. And I was like, yeah, definitely. So, so went out there. We had a great time. And then since then, I've ran 3 tours out there. And then COVID hit. So that kind of put a stop to that. But yeah, really good.
Man, I'm so jealous. Nepal is just somewhere I would so love to go.
Yeah. It's been on my radar for ages because I love climbing mountains and I love rock climbing. And I always thought Nepal was going to be the place where I go and do that. And I didn't think that I'd end up going to Nepal to ride motorbikes and also working and guiding clients up into the Himalayas. Fantastic, I mean, I don't know if you've seen some of the pictures, like where we go. In fact, did you watch that Top Gear episode with the new guys, not all the Clarksons lot, the new lot? They went to Nepal and they had the cars and they went all the way up to a town called Lamantang.
Is that the one where they're at the border with China and they're trying to get? Was that them or was that the old lot? That was the new lot. I have seen that.
Yeah, the new lot. So they went right up into the Himalayas. It was right up into the Lost Kingdom. I mean, that's that's Dalai Lama country. That is. That whole route that they took. That's the tour. We take all that on motorbikes, and it's all deep sand. You're talking if you go off the cliff face, that's it. It's going to be a bad day. But yeah, really exciting. If you do crash, the only way you're getting out of there is by helicopter.
Wow.
Proper adventure stuff. Vehicles. Yeah, you're not getting an ambulance up there or anything, so you got to make sure you've got some good insurance.
Yeah, I bet. God, I wonder how that's all going to be when sort of normality returns. Be interesting, won't it, with the insurance? Because so I'm thinking, even with my own tours, like just stuff to the Picos, mainland Spain. I'm thinking, God, how hard's it going to be? How hard's it going to be now with Brexit? How hard's it going to be to get the bikes in and out? I can't imagine Spain are going to make it too difficult because they're going to be clanking, I would have thought, for tourism. But it's
I think it was on the news today, wasn't it? Loads of countries in Europe are gagging for British tourists because we're getting all the vaccines and we're going to be good to go soon, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's looking very positive at the moment. There's such a good feel about the country at the moment. It's great. I love this time of year coming into spring. When the sun's out that little bit longer and it's a little bit brighter. It's such a nice feeling. I just want to get out on a bike. I've not been out since 3rd of January. I think was the last time I went out for a proper ride.
I really need to get out. I'm getting bored of the local walks. I've walked pretty much every single track around here now, and it's just, I've got to get out.
Mate, your Instagram, what's Rocker Road? What is that now then?
So I've always had a bit of a problem with social media, and I've never really known like what to do with it. And when I post pictures, and I go through these spurts of like, I'm going to share this, I'm going to share, and then I just go completely bored and just blank, and then don't use it for like 6 months.
I know the feeling. Yeah.
So when I was traveling, I started a bit of a blog, and then when I came back, I then sort of changed it for like rock climbing and travel because they were like my passions and stuff. And then that all went a bit dead, and I kind of wanted to fire it up again because I'm looking at maybe starting up a business. I was hoping to start it last year, so I'm hoping I can get it fired up this year. Just sort of doing like mountain guiding and navigational training and first aid training, that outdoorsy type stuff. I don't know if I'm going to go into bike stuff. I quite like the idea of being self-employed and working for others, so then I get a real sort of good change of scenery. But so I was thinking of maybe directing social media a little bit different. I don't know. Give another 3 months and I'll come up with another idea.
It is weird though, isn't it, when you're trying to find your niche. That right,
your little voice, your little bit of the internet.
What am I going to be? And I'm still going through that now. It's like I don't just want to be bikes. I love bikes, but I'm not just about bikes. It's like for me, it's meeting people. It's getting out there, living your life, having, making the most of whatever time that you get outside. Everyone's got a job, haven't they? Everyone's got to make money. Everyone's got to pay bills. Everyone's got family and social commitments. But making that time that you get just to have your own little adventure, that's kind of what I want Teapot to be all about.
Yeah, and there's no problems. Like just because you go and do a long distance motorbike trip, that doesn't mean then that from for the the rest of your travels have to be on a motorbike. I mean, I came back and, you know, my motorbike that I took on trip, I mean, it is a bit sad when I look at it. I've got it stored at my parents' place at the moment, and half of it is in boxes in the shed, you know, and the other half's collecting rust, and it's just, I need to do something with it. I don't think it's ever going to ride again. I don't know. But, you know, I'd like to get a new bike. But then, like, when I came back, I bought a van, you know, and a transit van.
Yeah, that's right.
Built a little motorhome, you know, then I hit the rock climbing hard. I got back into that again because I was away from it for nearly 2 years. So, you know, I wanted to get back into that again. And I really, you know, I pushed that hard, and I didn't really touch bikes. The only time I touched the bikes was when I was working for the company.
Right.
You know, and you don't have to be a bike guy or a climbing guy. You know, you can do so much. I mean, I've sold the van now because I'm bored of van life.
Have you?
Yeah, you know, I quite like having a proper toilet to use in the morning.
Have you met Paul and Holly riding from reality? Have you met them? They did the Mongol rally.
I've heard the name. Go on.
Yeah, they work in a climbing wall centre near, oh blimey, where is it? Vauxhall Way, I think it is. They work for a climbing place there, but they live in a van. They do the whole van life dream. That's what they do, and it's there's something I would love to be the type of person that could do it, but I like a toilet. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
yeah,
I like having a toilet and a shower, and I like my home comforts.
Well, this is it. I mean, like, it's not difficult. There's definitely some people out there, you know, that make it out to be a lot more than it is. You know, you're just sleeping in a van. You know, it is good. You get loads of freedom and stuff like that. But what I found was working, trying to have a relationship or meet people, you know, and hanging out with friends and stuff. You know, they're all hanging out at each other's houses, and you find that you're just parking your van up on their drive and, you know, sleeping from drive to drive. And I did it for a while. I did it for a couple of winters as well. The first winter I had no heating in it. And I remember like pulling up outside my parents' house, you know, in the middle of winter and trying to use the Wi-Fi. And then in the morning they'd see my van out there, and then they'd be annoyed because it didn't come in the house. You know, it's just, can I use your shower, please? While I'm here, can I have a bacon sandwich?
Yeah. And here's my washing.
Yeah. And I think like my dad, you know, is just say, you know, you're turning into the, you know, you're getting to the wrong end of your 30s now. You know, is this what you want to do for the rest of your life? You know, it's like, I'll fully support you, but you sure this is what you want to do? And then I think once I had my bit of fun, I was like, I like having a proper base camp. Mm-hmm. And that's what I got now. You know, it's great. I can work, save up some money, disappear, and I can keep all my stuff in the house, you know, and it's a lot more, for me, it just works better for me.
Yeah, I totally get you. I totally understand. I definitely, I've never hidden it. I had a proper sort of wanderlust and not being it. I wasn't able to fit back into my old way of life when I came back from my trip, and I really struggled for quite a long time. And now I'm, you know, the wife and I have our home, and we're settled here, and I still have that little flame that is burning quite brightly at the moment. Just, it's probably lockdown that emphasizes it, but I'm like, I need to go somewhere. I need to do something. You know, I don't know what it is, but I need to do something. But I haven't got that urge just to bugger off and not come back for a long time. You know, it's like, I want to bugger off, but I want to come back because I want my bed and I want my home. And, you know. Yeah, definitely.
So I normally, I mean, since I was 18, I mean, if you work out the timeline, for me, it's like a 3 to 4 year window of some sort of normality. And then I have a massive knee-jerk reaction and I have to do something. Yeah. You know, so like, but I've always had the army for that. So there was always like an operational tour. It's like, right, we're going to Northern Ireland. Yeah, back in the day. We're going to Iraq. We're going to Afghanistan. You know, I always had that. And then the motorbike trip, and then the first round the world trip that I did backpacking, you know, but now I'm in that 3 to 4 year bit. And I'm really getting itchy feet, and like COVID hasn't helped because I'm getting frustrated, and it's like I just want to get out, and I keep thinking about. I think I want to walk across a country.
Oh wow!
I think that's something I want to do, but nothing like too big. Like a good sort of maybe at least 4 months, I think, and possibly like a country that I don't know, maybe like Middle East or something that is kind of in the news for bad press or whatever, and I want to kind of walk across it, not to go find the bad stuff, but more to be like, there's nothing bad here, because you know what it's like when you're traveling. I mean, I was told don't go to Mexico, don't go to Colombia. They were two of my favorite countries.
Absolutely, some of the friendliest places out there, aren't they? And Russia, Although I had two lads on last week, Kurt and Dave, that went. It's a long time ago, back 2008. They did their trip. And they had loads of problems in Russia. They kept getting in fights and getting robbed by the old bill. And and I was like, you couldn't have a more opposite experience to what I had. I loved Russia. Loved it.
I mean, the thing is sometimes I often wonder, like I've had some real near misses in life. But like sometimes I think, is it just like
says the bomb disposal man that went to Iraq? Like, maybe.
Like, I don't know. There's definitely, I don't know, something in the back of my head. I think, is it just like sheer blind luck? Sometimes it's like, because you hear some of the stories. I'm not saying like, oh, if you go to Mexico, nothing is going to happen. There's no way I'd ever tell that to somebody. All I'm going to say is, don't listen to all. It's mostly bullshit out there. Like, of course, there's something in cabin. There's been travellers that have, foreign travellers and British travellers in the UK that have had motorbikes stolen, or they got into fights or whatever. So it can happen anywhere in the world. But I think if you think about it too much, what could happen? You'll never leave. And I think sometimes you've got to have that little bit of you just got to go for it, because if something happens, you will sort it out, because you have to. Like if you get a puncture in the middle of nowhere, or your bike breaks, you will get it sorted out because you've got to. And it's just someone will come along. You'll work it out. You'll walk for a day or whatever to the nearest village or something. You'll get it sorted. And don't use that as as an excuse for not going on the trip.
So I think to anyone that's not been in that environment, for anyone that's never put themselves out in that position, it's so alien, isn't it? Certainly to us in the developed world, anyway. It is so alien just to like put yourself at the mercy of other people's kindness and generosity, or just in the lap of the gods a lot of the time. But as you said, it always works out, doesn't it? It just does.
I mean, you feel so exposed, don't you? When you've been to some of those towns, where everybody is they're just staring at you, and you need help, and you're trying to ask for help, and it's just, I don't know, any armor that you've got, you've just got to drop it. Otherwise you're just not going to get anywhere. You've just got to open up to everything around you. I like wild camping. I mean, I've wild camped. I love wild camping. One, because it's free. And two, you don't get any noisy backpackers in the bed above, doing the. But like wild camping, some of the places that I've stayed. I remember going through like Central America, like El Salvador and Honduras, and people telling me, murder capitals of the world. Make sure you stay in proper hotels. I just pull up on the beach and put my tent up. Somebody will come along. They'd have cigarettes, would share a beer or something like that, and then you got left alone.
Yeah. The only place I had issues in all the Americas, not including the States, the only place I had issues while camping was Mexico. And that was because the farmer came along. It's quite late at night. It was getting dark. Must have been about 8, 9 o'clock. And I remember I'd crossed the border into Mexico, and I was trying to head north. And it's getting dark, so I just pulled over into the field and pitched my tent up. And the farmer turned up, and he basically told me, "No, I can't camp here. It's too dangerous. Move. Just go. Find a hotel." And that was the only time. And I ended up finding this really grotty hotel. I had no money either. Like I didn't know it cost you to get into Mexico, because I had to pay like a $400 tax, and it was pucker. Right. It was genuine. It's like a deposit for your bike. You pay it when you go in, and then you get it back when you leave. It's like refunded to your card. I didn't know anything about that. Yeah.
I crossed into Mexico without checking out or checking in. I was riding, because Yeah, I crossed at the Tecate.
Can't remember where I crossed.
When I came into Baja. So from San Diego, it's like a bit more inland because
Oh,
it's
right. Okay. Yeah, yeah.
super quiet border. And but I was riding, and then I mean, I see the wolves. I knew I was at the checkpoint, but then I was riding, and people were sort of waving me on, and before I knew it, I was actually in the town of Tecate, and I was like, okay, I'm in Mexico, and now I'm trying to get
That
back
was
into
easy.
the US. And then obviously you turn around, you're trying to get back in, and then all the US soldiers there with all their guns, and you're like, no, I haven't checked out. I need to come back in to do. And they're like, no, you're in Mexico now. It's like, yeah, I know, but I haven't got the paperwork.
This could get a little tricky.
You need to just let me back in. I need to go to that office. So yeah, I managed to get that sorted.
Did I tell you about my story in Thailand along the same lines?
Do we want to hear this?
Jeff was his name.
Is this a family-friendly story, is it?
I'm only halfway through the first beer. Yeah,
Thailand.
God bless Thailand. Yeah, I'd been in Thailand and done some touring around about there, and then it was coming up for my birthday, so I wanted to go to the MotoGP in Sepang for my birthday. And I'd made some contacts through social media and stuff. So I left Thailand, crossed the border, got stamped out of Thailand, stamped into Malaysia. That's all done. Job, happy days. Gone in, spent a week or two in Malaysia, and then went back into Thailand. And as I crossed back in, I'm at the border, and I stopped at the booth. Nobody was around. There's no gates or anything. It's just a booth and a busy border, But there was nobody manning any of the booths to leave Malaysia and go into Thailand. Yeah. So I got off the bike and I wandered into the complex and went up and down corridors and eventually found some ladies in an office. And I sort of had my passport and I said, can I get stamped out? I need to go into Thailand. And she looked at my passport and she went, Falang, it's okay. Go. Like Falang's Westerners, what they call Westerners, Falang. Yeah. So I was like, oh, okay then. So I got back on my bike and rode to the Thailand part of the border. They just waved me through. As soon as they just waved me through, and I thought, this doesn't seem right, because I got stamped out of Thailand and stamped into Malaysia, so something's not right here. But anyway, so I've gone in. I spent probably another 2 weeks in Thailand, and then I crossed from Thailand into Laos, right up the top near the Chinese border. Zhang Hao or something it was called.
And I've always wanted to go into there.
Oh, it was amazing. It's like it's what I imagined like adventuring in the Far East would be like. It was awesome. But I'm at the border and you have to get a little chug across the river into Laos. So I'm on the Thailand side of it, waiting in the queue. Eventually it's my turn. Hand over the passport, and the geezer in his uniform is going through my passport and goes through it again and looks at me and puts his hand up. Wait. Goes away, comes back. Somebody else is now looking through it, and then he goes, "You have not been stamped in." And I was like, "There's a story here." So I told him the story, and he was like, "We need to get this sorted." So anyway, long and short of it, I had to sit for like 2-3 hours and wait, and eventually this little guy turned up on the back of a moped in an immaculate tunic with massive, like Kenny Everett shoulder pads and a huge big hat, military hat, police hat. And he called me into the office and he basically said, there's a problem. You've not been stamped into Thailand. We can see that you left on this date, like that you came in on this date and you left on this date, but you have never come back in officially. And I said, I said to them at the place and I didn't think that was right. He said, the problem is this is a major heroin route up here, and we get a lot of Western backpackers trying to smuggle heroin. And I was like, I'm not, I'm on a motorcycle. It's not me, I swear. Look, no heroin. Look, my arms, no heroin. But anyway, so he said, what you'll need to do is you'll need to stay in one of our jails for a week or two whilst we get all this sorted. And I was like, not a chance. So I sort of pulled my trump card out, and I'd taken a picture of me outside number 10 in full uniform with my guns and everything to take on the trip, just in case I had some issues with the old bill, and I could go, look, one of you, same thing, brother in uniform. So I kind of said, look, this is me, this is what I do, this is my website, you can see it's all there, it's all official. I promise you I'm not smuggling drugs, it was just a misunderstanding. And literally the bloke went from saying you're going to be in jail for a week or two to, oh right, yeah, no problem, just grab a bit of paper out the printer tray. Can you just write a little note that says you came in here accidentally and forgot to get your passport stamped. You're not smuggling drugs, and it'll be 500 baht, which is 20 quid. Wrote my little note, paid my 20 quid, and he just went bang, bang, bang. See you later. Done. Easy as that.
That's it.
Wow.
It's it's crazy, isn't it, when you end up in these situations and then you drive off and you're just like, that'll be a good story to tell.
Yeah, definitely. Then no one believes you.
Yeah, definitely. That's it. And everyone's just saying, no, wait, no, that's not true. And it's like, it is.
Yeah, I know. Money sorts everything.
Well, we go on.
No, go on, man, go on.
No, I was just going to say, like, when so we did the boat crossing, the sailing from Panama into Colombia.
Oh yeah, for the Darien Gap.
Yeah. So obviously you've got to go around the Darien Gap to get into Colombia, into Cartagena. But so who are the two big sort of name players? I think it was the Stall Rats is one of them, and I think
doing the boat trip.
Yeah, doing the boat trips, and they're very popular with people, paying to use those. And I wanted to try and do it a lot cheaper. I was with an Aussie couple at the time, and there was an American guy as well, and we decided, well, there's other people with boats. So we went to this port and we found this Italian guy. He couldn't speak any English. Our Spanish was pretty much non-existent. I mean, it's an English guy, two Aussies, an American. I mean, we're not going to do languages, are we? And we're pretty ignorant when it comes to languages. And so anyway, we managed to sort something out, and it was super cheap. It was like, yeah, that's way cheaper. And the guy was like, yeah, no problem. We'll get the boats onto we'll get the bikes onto the boats, and then the bikes onto the boat, and then we'll sail across to Colombia.
Yeah. And
then there was a Finnish couple that then came onto the boat as well, and they were going to do the cooking for their passage to get to Colombia. So I was like, all right. And I think we were gone for like 4 nights or something. It was absolutely incredible. It was an amazing experience. This Italian skipper, he just spent the whole time that he was just high as a kite. He was there just before we set off, he got on his little dinghy and went back to land, and then he came back with just this massive bag of weed, and he was just high as a kite for the whole time. I was like, I wasn't even too sure if we were going in the right direction. I couldn't check Google Maps or anything. I was
didn't
like,
really care though, did you? I know we're into it. Didn't care.
Happened. But then we get there, and he took our passports and he went and checked us in while we stayed on the boat. And he's like, "Yep, okay, you're into Colombia." We were into Colombia, but the bikes, obviously, you got to do the same for the bikes. Yeah. Oh, geez. Yeah, we were missing paperwork.
Oh. Oops.
So we're in Colombia. We've managed to get the bikes off of the boat. And the office wasn't open, and I think it was like a Friday or something. The office wasn't open, the customs office, until Monday. We thought, we've got to hide these bikes. So we're quickly walking around trying to find a hotel where we can hide the motorbikes in there as well, get them off the street. And yeah, that took a couple of days of going back and forth to the customs office. And eventually we managed to get it sorted. I mean, they did threaten to send us back to Panama.
Did they?
So I'm glad that didn't happen. But yeah, we managed to sort it out. And no bribes were paid, which was pretty cool.
I was amazed in Colombia. I did the other way to you. I came from, is it Ecuador next to, that's on the west of Colombia? I think it was Ecuador,
you've got Ecuador, and then the other one is, you've got Venezuela up on the north to the east of it.
Yeah, I came from the west, so it would have been Ecuador, and there's a land crossing into Colombia. And in my mind, was thinking, this is going to be the start of the dodgy Central American borders. And it was totally automated. It was all on computer. It took me about 15 minutes. Really pleasant, polite, no money whatsoever. It was amazing. I was like, wow, wasn't expecting that.
The only border issues was Central America. That was it. Everybody's just trying to get your money.
Yeah. It's like Africa.
They're all trying to get your money. They're all like, oh, if you queue up, it's going to be 4 hours. If you pay me this, I'll do it in 10 minutes. And it's like, no, I'm good. 20 minutes later, I'm out. I'm done. They want your money, and they're all there with their big stacks of money, because they want you to change the last country up into this, but you're just going to get an awful rate. But then, I mean, what else are you going to do? Like, you can't use that money anywhere else. So you might as well just give it to them. There you go. Or give it to a family before you get to the checkpoint.
Yeah, I was really stubborn in the crossing into Mexico, because there's from the south there's two crossings into Mexico. Well, there was the way I went. There's the actual crossing where you leave. I can't remember whatever country it was I was in, where you leave that and you go into Mexico. But the actual border is 400 kilometers further north. So effectively, you've been in Mexico ages before you get to the actual proper official border checkpoint.
That was kind of the same as. Go on.
So go on.
I was just going to say that was kind of the same from going from Russia into Mongolia. The same as like we crossed into Mongolia, but we'd only checked out, and then we just had this big long ride until we got to the border with Mongolia, and it was like, wait, hang on, what's all this?
Yes, because normally no man's land is like maybe at a push a kilometre, isn't it? But occasionally, well, Mexico was 400 kilometres and there was no cash points. So by the time I got to the border, I had no money. I had no money left, because I just thought, I didn't bother paying the local people to exchange money when I came into Mexico, because I thought, I'll just get the first cash point. Well, there wasn't a cash point for another day and a half. And I was just like...
Well, I was going to say 400 kilometres. If I had to do 400 kilometres in a day, I'd be like, right, today's going to be a big day.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't want to do 400 kilometers in one day. I mean, I did do a couple of big days, but I think my biggest day was 650 kilometers. I don't know what that is in miles, but yeah, it was 400 kilometers just to go finish your border crossing.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Yeah, because I crossed into Mexico from Belize.
Okay,
I crossed into Belize from Mexico, and then came that way.
Yeah, you went south, didn't you? You came... I was heading north on that.
Yeah.
Dude, how about we crack on with these questions? Because they always bring stuff up and sort of take us on a weird and wonderful journey. We'll see how we get on.
Sounds great.
Right. First off, we'll go to Patreon, as always, folks. Patreon.com/TeapotOne. First one. My mate Fulch. Mark Fulcher. I up me ducks. So question for you both. I know when travelling around the world that when nature calls, we all have had to succumb to dropping our kegs in what shall we describe as not the greatest of establishments. I know I can say mine, hiking restaurant Ramagundam. Fulch worked out in India for quite a while, and he experienced some pretty horrendous toilets. In fact, I believe I sent you the photo, Bruce. Yes, you did. It was horrendous. So, what's the worst bog that you've both had the pleasure of having 5 minutes in? Not in the great outdoors, as we all love a poo with a view, but actually in a building of some sorts. Keep up the good work. We're all out for a ride and social very soon. Yes, mate. So, worst bog?
Mine's India.
Is it?
Yeah, it's India. And it wasn't on the bike trip, because I didn't go to India on the bike trip. This is going back... This is when I got out the regular, so about 2007, 2008. So it was like my first introduction to that part of the world. And I remember I was out and about. I had the old Delhi belly, and I was with my mate, and I was like, I've got to go to the toilets. So I've gone in there, and I was like, where's the toilet? And there's just a hole on the floor, and then it's just... I mean, I was very new to all this. Now it's like, no, I'm not going in one of those. I know what they look like. But there was just, there was carnage everywhere. It was all up the walls and everything. I still managed, I mean, I had to go. So I managed to find a way of doing it. And obviously they don't use toilet paper either, do they?
Nope.
I had nothing in my pockets. I had no credit card receipts or anything like that. No leaflets, no maps or anything. Yeah, it's the, there was a tap. Yeah, there was a tap, and I'm collecting water, and just absolutely disgusting.
I hate those type of toilets. Like the sort of Southeast Asian style. Basically, it's the squat, isn't it? It's a hole with the bucket full of water, and you wipe and wash, and that's that. And they do it in France as well. But I mean.
Right, okay.
When you're, it's the same. Well, maybe not so much now, but I remember when I first started going across into France on the bike, sort of 2008, 2009, 10, even 11, I remember. Especially some of the service stop toilets. There's not big services like you get here, but it's like a lay-by at the side of the road, and they have a toilet. And you'd go in, and it's a proper porcelain toilet, but it's like a shower tray with a hole.
Yeah.
That's all it is, and you just have to squat. And I just hate those type of toilets. I don't know why, but I just don't like them.
Well, I mean, I found as well, like in India. I mean, I had a great time in India. You know, it's nothing against nothing derogatory against Indians or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, they're very comfortable with just doing it out in the open.
Yeah.
I don't even think they want to use their own toilets.
No.
Yeah, like you'll be
you
walking
see them in the
along
fields, don't you? Just people squatted down in fields.
Yeah, I mean, they know best. They probably saw me walking into there, and they're like, "You don't want to go in there. Just go in the field." I should have just gone in the field and joined them.
Yeah, you'll get cholera if you go in there.
Yeah, it's disgusting. But oh well.
I remember one on my trip. I can't remember what country it was in, to be honest. I think it was Thailand, actually. Or maybe it was into Malaysia. But I remember... No, it was Indonesia. It was in Indonesia. And it was... Again, it was just a shower tray style toilet with the bucket of water. But the bucket of water was full of mosquitoes. And I'm in like bike leathers. So you can imagine how difficult that is.
Yeah.
The floor is soaking wet because everyone... washes after they've been, but the water goes everywhere, doesn't it?
It's everywhere.
And you're just like, I've got to take my boots off to get my leathers off, and then I've got to either stand in my socks or in my bare feet in this, and you're just like, oh my God, this is horrendous. Take me home.
Oh, of course, yeah, you were wearing leathers and everything, weren't you?
That wasn't a good choice.
Oh, Bruce.
Never mind. Live and learn, eh? Right. Cheers for that, folks. Next one, Nick Turnbull. Question to Aaron. I can't imagine what it must be like being in bomb disposal, let alone in a war zone. Does Aaron have any good... Oh. So I don't pre-read these questions, mate. If you don't want to answer, feel free. Does Aaron have any good war stories he is happy to share with us? And has he suffered with any long-term effects from working in the war zone, like PTSD? I guess going around the world on a bike is the best therapy if you did suffer. Cheers. I love these podcasts. It's great to hear from all these interesting people. I appreciate that's a very sensitive question, mate, so feel free if you don't want to answer.
No, that's cool. Definitely a lot easier talking about it. So yeah, basically the motorbike trip came about because of that. I'm not going to say I had PTSD because I was never diagnosed, because I did the wrong thing and I never went and saw anyone. You know, I just let everything crumble around me and then thought, no, I'm good. You know, and it's changing very quickly now in the army, in the military, and you know, with people that speaking up about stuff, which is always a good thing. You know, I've spoken with friends now, you know, and other people when they come back from tours and stuff, everyone's opening up a lot more, and it's less of a weakness to talk about your feelings and your emotions, I guess. Yeah. Which is good, because it needs to.
There's less of a stigma now, isn't there?
Yeah, it's less of a stigma. You know, you in the military now, you know, you can put your hand up and say, yeah, something's not quite right up in here. I need to speak to somebody. Mm-hmm. You know, the partner that I was with at the time, I was engaged and stuff, and she wanted me to go see somebody, but I didn't. And ultimately that sort of collapsed in our relationship. You know, I kept on having that attitude of, no, I'm good. Yeah,
I can manage.
With Afghanistan was a bit different, because the other tours, I was a regular soldier. So I came back with everybody that I was working with, and then just went back to daily work as a soldier with the guys that I was with, so we could bounce off of each other.
Yeah.
Whereas with Afghanistan, I went as a reservist. I volunteered to go out there. I asked to be sent out there to go do this tour. So I got put in, you know, with people that I've never worked with before. You know, so I had to get to know them. They had to get to know me. We did this operational tour together, come home, and then I demobilized. And then I went back to being a part-time soldier again and doing my civilian job, which was my main income, and nobody really to talk about it with. And I think that's what maybe the issue was, is that, no, I've got some very close civilian friends, but, you know, I'm sure that they can understand what maybe soldiers go through, but, you know, until you've actually maybe gone through it yourself, do you know what I mean? Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it's a tough one, but yeah, the motorbike trip, definitely, I needed that. I was definitely was partying a lot. I was meeting some wrong women, I think. And yeah, so I needed
really
a bit
that doesn't happen on a trip like this. Honest, Mrs. Teapot, it doesn't happen on trips like this at all. It's perfectly civil normally.
Yeah, but yeah, so I just needed a kick up the arse. So so I went on the motorbike trip, and then that just gave me my focus. You know, it was just every day building up to that was, you know, prepping the bike or learning this or what tent shall I take. You know, I had something to take my mind off things. So then, you know, did the trip, and yeah, I feel good. I feel good now, which is the main thing. So I'm happy.
How did you find coming back then? How did you? Because 500 days is a long. I mean, that's even longer than I was away, mate. And I struggled coming back. How did you find fitting back in?
Well, 2 weeks later, after coming back, I was on a plane and I went out to Brazil.
There you go.
Yeah,
that's how you solve that issue.
I got back, and yeah, definitely. So obviously, I met Natalia in Argentina when I was waiting to get the bike boxed up and sent back to Europe, and we kept in touch. And then I got back home, and I was like, right, I need to make a decision. If I don't go, then this relationship is not going to happen. And I was like, just go for it. You know, what's the worst that can happen? And so yeah, I think I was back for about 2 weeks and jumped on a plane, flew out to Brazil to meet her, and I spent I think 4 or 5 weeks out there. And I was just like, cool. And then since there, we've just been going back and forth.
Awesome, man. Awesome.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Right, next one. Rob Bignell. Hi, both. Having both had frontline jobs, did your round-the-world trips put your faith back into humanity? Or is it that us mere mortals are generally good, but it's the lawmakers above that fuck it all up? I guess that's not really a question, just asking for clarification. So, yeah, your experience on your world trip, did that change your opinion of people as a whole?
I mean, I always knew. Okay, so the world is full of good people, but there's also, you've also got your dickheads everywhere, haven't you?
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know, and they're everywhere. They're at home. They're in the deepest corners of everywhere. You know, you're not just going to leave England and then every single person that you may come across is going to be a good person. That's just not going to happen. But I do think that the majority of people are good. Like I said, there's so many people that I spoke to that have gone on long trips, and if they have had a bad day, it's like, you know, it's a very small amount of bad times that they can count. You know, the rest of the times have always been good. But yeah, I mean, I've still got faith in humanity, even after seeing what some people can do and what they're capable of.
Yeah.
You know, it's a small minority, and I think as well, like, people shouldn't listen to the media too much. I think that's a huge issue, especially. Well, especially, you know, being a police officer, you know, it must be carnage. I mean, for us as soldiers, any bad prey, like we can sort of just hide, but you guys are like really are in the public eye, and it's I think it's very difficult for you guys to sort of combat any negative effects coming from what the media is putting out there.
You can't. You're. I mean, it used to be you are still totally at the mercy of whatever political persuasion or otherwise that the media has at that moment in time. Because there's definitely times when they're pro old Bill, and you know the old Bill can't do any wrong. But then most of the time they're not. You know, and whatever agenda it fits, they'll taint their news, if you can call it that, to feed whatever it is that they're trying to feed at that time. Definitely. I used to find it very frustrating. Part of the reason that I was happy to go, to be honest, it was just, you know, you can't, I didn't feel like I could. I joined the old Bill to help people, and it sort of got to the stage where I was like, I don't feel like I can help people because like even my own family were losing faith in the old Bill purely because, well, not purely actually, because of what they were seeing in the media, but also the sort of service that they were getting from the old Bill, because everyone was just so despondent. You know, I don't know a single person who still is happy in the old bill. You know, it's just it just got to that stage where people are just like, I can't do anything right here. Everyone hates us. What's the point? You know, and
they're massively recruiting at the moment, aren't they? I know they are down here in Kent.
Yeah. It's funny that, isn't it? It's because everyone's leaving.
It's the same as the military. I think they're cutting back on the British forces as well.
Again.
I think they're doing even more. Like, I mean, I do believe, like, I mean, the military's changed a lot. I mean, you know, I joined in 2002, and you know, I, apart from like the motorbike trip and the backpacking trip that I did, I've always been in and around in some shape or form with the military. And even in that sort of short time, 18 years, I think it's changed quite a bit. And I don't know, some things definitely for the good. Then I think some things I'm not so sure. I mean, I think I'm getting pretty close to hanging up the old boots for good. I think maybe Afghanistan, I mean, it depends on how you look at it. I mean, not having any wars is definitely a good thing. But I think Afghanistan was probably one of our last sort of hurrahs. I think we'll have things in the future, but I think it's just how we fight things is just going to change completely.
Yeah, what do you think? Like less up close and personal, do you think? Or
I think it's just going to be more tech. I think technology, just, you know, all your drones and stuff like that. I mean, the capability that we have nowadays, when you compare it, you know, to back in the day, I mean, what we can do remotely is just, it's incredible. We don't need to put so many boots on the ground anymore. Yeah.
But then the what's the word I'm looking for? Not conspiracy theorist. I suppose it is a bit of a conspiracy theory, but the sort of skeptical side of me goes, there's way too much money involved in war to not have a massive footfall, boots on the ground. So you look, I mean, this is not a pro-Trump statement, people. Please don't think it is. The man's deplorable.
You've got to be careful with your words there.
Exactly. But the bloke did say, you know, there is a military-industrial complex at play here, and it's nothing to do with figuring out peace. That's the total opposite of what they want. And within 9 months, he ended the war in Afghanistan. He took care of the Taliban purely because he took the business out of it, you know. And now what's happening? Well, Biden's been in a month, 2 months, and he's already started bombing again. And you're like, was there something in what Trump said there about this, or what's going on?
It's tough, and it's tough to talk about stuff like that, because you'll say something like that, and then everyone will just think,
"Oh, you're a Trump supporter."
Yeah, I know. And you're like, no, we're talking about a specific thing here, and it's very difficult to keep on track when you're talking politics.
Absolutely, and I don't like to bring politics or religion up. But I think we've maybe brought both up so far in this.
It's a tough one to stay on track, and as soon as it starts going off, it's like, okay, we're going into something now that I just don't want to talk about. You know,
it's one of those things, isn't it? You're never going to please everybody with topics of conversation like that. I mean, I am by nowhere experienced or intelligent enough to give that the credit that it should be given, you know, topics like that. So we'll call a call on that one. Right. Next one.
I hope that we answered the question.
I think we did. Yeah, that was Rob Bignell. Faith back into humanity. Bring it back to what you said.
Never, maybe a couple of days I might have lost faith, you know, because of a particular incident that's happened. But yeah, I think overall, I have a lot of faith in humanity. We can do incredible things, and I think things are going to get better. I think the whole technology scene is just going to get mind blowing, like real quick. And I think conditions are just going to get better. I mean, we're living in one of the most peaceful times in human history, and you know, the medicines at our disposal and healthcare and so. I know that not the whole planet has it, but there's more people that have access to it than 50 years ago or 100 years ago. You know, it is getting better.
And like social media, although it can be the cause of so much pain and anguish and issues, I think it's also, as you said, it's a fantastic thing because it gives people that option to interact with people from other countries, other religions, other cultures that they perhaps would never ever be in a position where they might interact with, and they can interact with them like this if they want to, via a video call or on the phone if they want. So you get to actually mix with people almost one-on-one. It's not as good as doing a big trip where you're out there on the ground and you are doing that, but you're still able to meet people, aren't you? And there's no bullshit involved in something like that. It's almost face-to-face communication. So it can only be a good thing, definitely. Brian McManus. Hello, gentlemen. A question to you both. If you had a friend who spoke to you in the same way that you sometimes speak to yourself, how long would you allow this person to be your friend? I wouldn't, pure and simply. I think I'm probably my biggest critic. What about you?
Oh, geez, yeah. The amount of times that I really swear at myself. And I find as I'm getting older, I'm getting more comfortable with doing it out loud as well. I don't know, definitely as I've got older, I've got so much more comfortable in my own skin, and just, I'll do something. I'll be like, Aaron, what the fuck are you doing? Do you know what I mean? And it's just even if people are around, I don't know, if I had a friend that spoke to me like that, I don't know. I do have those sort of friends. Pretty much most of my army friends.
Do you know? As soon as you started saying it, I thought my friends do speak to me like that. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That's why they're my friends. Yeah, yeah. I've got no time for bullshit. I don't like mind games, and my missus, my wife, is fantastic for that because she doesn't play mind games. She just says it how I think because she is old Bill, so she's got the same mentality. And
is she Scottish as well?
No, she's from Retford, up North Nottinghamshire. Yeah.
All right.
Plastic North, But I quite often get accused of being rude or abrupt in some of my comments and replies to people on, in YouTube and stuff. And it's just, I'm not being rude. I'm just saying exactly what I think. And I'm not gonna beat around the bush with something. I'll just tell you, pure and simple. This is what I think. No, you're wrong. Or you've got the wrong end of the stick. This is why. And both. I don't see the point in pussyfooting around, really. Maybe it's wrong.
I have a couple of those friends who are exactly like that. So I know if I come up with an idea for something, I think that might be a bit stupid. I'll pick up the phone. I'll be like, I've got this idea, and he's like, stupid idea. What are you thinking? I was like, yeah, I knew that. Damn it.
No. But see, I'm different to you then, because when I come up with these, my mates are used to it. I come up with these ideas, and when they go, "Oh my fucking stupid," in my head, that's like green light. Do it. Yeah. And I'm like, right, I'm going for it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I come up with a lot of stupid ideas. Sometimes I'll be on a call to Natalia, and I'll be telling her this stuff, and you can see she's just like. Yeah. I'm like, you listening?
Oh God, he's doing that again.
Yeah, she's like, I am listening, but in about 3 days' time, you'll be bored of this idea, and you'll have another idea about something. And I was just like, what? Don't you think I should do it? She's like, no, you should do it. She says, but you're gonna stick. Is this one got legs? Is it? Because every day you've got new ideas about something, like new ideas on how to get rich, or new ideas on travel. Or...
Yeah. My wife is exactly the same. She just gives me that look, and I'm like, okay. It's almost like they're like, okay, here's a rope, go and hang yourself, and then come back, and we'll move on.
Yeah.
Good question, Brian. Like that.
No, that was a really good question.
No usernames left. I love that username. No usernames left. Of all your years and thousands upon thousands of miles travelled, you've probably acquired quite a considerable and essential toolkit to carry with you. Out of all these tools, maybe some bought from the shop and some custom made for specific tasks, if forced at gunpoint, which one would you choose? Oh my God. Which one would you choose to insert in your anus? What sort of question is that? See, this is where I should pre-read questions, isn't it? Wow. Okay, so I think I'll take from that what they're meaning is, out of all the tools you have, which is the one that you have just never, ever, ever found a use for, that you've taken on a trip?
Oh, right, okay. I mean, my mind went somewhere else. I was thinking,
Man,
the
I do
little,
not.
the little number 10 socket. I mean, that's pretty small. I don't. I, I can
It
get that
forced
out
at
there.
gunpoint. Yeah. I was thinking a little Allen key, but then there's the bit at the end. It's like, that's going to be difficult.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So the one thing that we've taken that we've never used.
That's that. I'll take that meaning from that question. Yeah.
Okay, not literally. We've got to pick something to. What one thing did I take that I never used? Do you know yours? Have you got an answer?
Pretty much the full toolkit, apart from like screwdrivers to take the fairings off, and a socket. I had a socket set. Well, not a socket set. I had a socket to loosen the rear spindle so I could tighten my chain. But I took a full-on toolkit, like a full-on spanners and different sockets that I never needed. Weighed about 5 kilograms.
My toolkit was, my toolkit. I think I took I think I had an impact socket for getting like the front sprocket off, because I Loctited the thing on. So I was like, right, well, that's never coming off. Yeah. But I'll take this
just
to get it off. But I didn't have the tool to put it on, so I had to find a mechanic. And that happened once in Mexico. I had to find a mechanic that I could actually use this.
Who had all the tools anyway.
He had all the tools anyway. So yeah, it'd probably be that. In fact, I think I actually left that with him as part payment. I think it was like the tip was have this. Mm-hmm. It was a really nice one, but there was no way I was going to use it. So yeah, I think that was probably my most useless tool. But my toolkit was super small.
Was it?
I reckon I could have got it even smaller. I reckon I could have done, what's the is it Motion Pro? They do like it's like a Swiss Army type thing, you know. Ooh. It's got all the bits on it, and I think for something like like a DRZ, I think you could get away with having that to do everything. Yeah. I reckon you could. Yeah, I think they do like several different things. I know Austin Vince's used to bang on about this Motion Pro tool. Yeah. And I met up with Ed March as well, and I know that he had it, and he was just like, "This is all you need."
Yeah, so, I mean, Ed's a dab hand, isn't he, at the mechanics now? He can literally take his little C90 apart. Well, he did, didn't he? He's taken it apart and put it in bags and carried it on flights and on boats and all sorts.
Well, we did the crossing together from Panama to Colombia, but on different boats. He was on his boat, right. Yeah, and we were at the office at the same time trying to get all the paperwork sorted. So he was another one that's in the group, yeah. And we were staying in the same hostel, and he literally brought the bags in and built the bike in the courtyard, and I met a girl, a local Colombian girl, and she owned a bike shop.
So Natalia, shut your ears.
And I remember, like, I invited her out. I was just like, in my best Spanish. It was useless. But anyway, I asked her. Dos
cerveza, por favor. Dos cerveza.
I said about going for a coffee. And I don't know why I said coffee. I'm not even a coffee drinker. But she then turned around and she was like, how about beer instead? I was like, even better.
You're the woman for me.
Yeah. And Ed was my taxi driver to my date that night on the back of his C90. And just as we were about to set off, a police car came up and they went to go stop us because he's got no foot pegs. So I was on the back of the thing and just holding on, trying to keep my feet off the ground from dragging. Yeah. And we're zipping through all the traffic in Cartagena trying to get to this date. And I've got Google Maps on my phone. And I'm like, left here, left. And I mean, you can imagine two fully grown men on that C90. It was, it was interesting.
Oh, wow. But the stories that we will share over a beer and a campfire someday.
Yeah, but you genuinely, I mean, that was a genius idea, like getting the bike into those bags. That was good.
A lot of folk have said about, getting Ed on here, actually, onto the podcast.
Yeah.
Could be, there's certainly a story to tell, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely.
Right, yeah, so cheers for that. No usernames left. What a question. Marshall3498 at YouTube. Aaron, question for you, please. Do you think the KTM 390 Adventure would be a good second motorcycle for me? I've been riding motorcycles for 5 years. I want the KTM for a second motorcycle to do some adventure riding on, just light off-road riding like gravel roads, and for a lot of road riding also. You ever ridden the 390?
So that's a tough question. I've never ridden one. I've never ridden a KTM before.
Right.
So I don't.
You've not ridden a KTM full stop?
No.
Have you not? Oh mate,
never been on a KTM.
We'll have to get you. We'll have to get you in touch with KTM. The good bikes. Good bikes. Proper hooligan bikes.
I don't know if you can pipe up about that. I mean, I feel like I can't really answer that question, having never ridden one.
Yeah, it's a weird specific question to ask you who's never ridden one. I've never ridden the 390 Adventure. I rode the 390, the first 390 Duke when that came out. And I've ridden the bigger Adventure, KTM Adventure bikes. God, I want the KTM for a second motorcycle to do some adventure riding on, just like off-road riding, gravel roads, and a lot of road riding also. 390cc's, what I've found with the smaller cc bikes is they sound a great idea. Like 125s are loads of fun. They are great fun. And I always think to myself, this is so much fun. If this had another 300cc, it would be the best bike ever. But what I've found is when you do get that bike, like a 390cc or a 400cc, it just feels, to me, it just feels like an underpowered big bike. You know, and it sort of loses that fun the little 125cc has, and it just becomes an underpowered big bike. And I don't know why. Maybe that's just me. I mean, you did 500 days on a 400cc. How does that feel to you compared to? Have you ridden a bigger bike?
Yeah. I mean, I've ridden the biggest I've gone is the new GSAs, the 1250s.
There you go.
Up at the BMW school in Wales. Oh,
right, gotcha. And how do you? I mean, you can't compare them, but
yeah, Simon Pavey obviously runs the school up there, and I tell you, that place is fantastic. I mean, I went up there. I didn't have to pay because I went with the company. Yeah. You know, it was one of those company training packages, and he was just like, "Do you want to go up there, up to the BMW school?" I was like, "Yeah, of course I do." And they're absolutely brilliant up there, and I think they're on maybe the pricier side. I don't know, but like for what you get for your money, I think is fantastic. The instructors out there are brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And I was always I never thought about getting a big bike. I was like, no, they're too big. But then doing some of the stuff that you can do on one of those 1250s is just ridiculous. I mean, I walked away and I was just like, oh,
oops,
they're fun.
This is going to get expensive.
Yeah, this is going to get very expensive. And when I asked him, I was like, how much are one of these? And I was just like, I can't justify that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that free trip all of a sudden cost you £300 a month, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to have one, but pair it with a smaller bike, for doing other bits. But absolutely fantastic bikes. Yeah, really good.
So, okay then, so let's compare the big 1200, 1250 GS Adventure, so a big CC adventure bike, and you've ridden that off-road. Compare that to your experience doing off-road on the DRZ400. Which one would you take? Given the choice again, here's either bike, it's not going to cost you any different. What bike are you going to take?
What, for that trip I did?
For the off-road stuff, yeah, for that trip. Let's say for that trip.
I would still stick with the DRZ for that trip. If I'm overlanding, I wouldn't want to take something that's that much tech on it, and it is heavy. I mean, yeah, it's definitely easier to pick up a 400, and I know there's probably people out there will ride better, and you won't crash. And it's like, well, I like to have fun, and I like. But
it's going to happen, though, isn't it? You will drop the bike at some point. Mm-hmm.
But there's other things as well. It's like, I had my Suzuki. I up onto sailing boats tied to the mast, and we just got 2 of us lifting it up, or in dugout canoes, going down rivers in Colombia and things like that. And I often thought, I was like, there's no way I could have got that. If I had that bike, it wouldn't have got on there. So I think it's different situations, but then there was definitely times maybe if I'm just, trying to churn out the miles and it's like, yeah, I want the BMW. And then maybe just swap over when you get to the have a support.
With a what?
Have a support team.
Have a support team, yeah. Absolutely. Marshall, that's a difficult question, mate, to be honest. I mean, to me, the little 390cc's sound great, and my experience with them is with the KTM 390 Duke was on a go-kart track, so that was track stuff. It was a lovely bike, and it felt great fun because it was a novelty for me. Then my other experience is the Sinus Terrain 390 or 380, whatever that one. I think that's a 380cc, and I did some off-roading on that. And everyone knows I'm not the biggest off-roader in the world, but I actually quite enjoyed it. But then putting that bike onto the road, it felt a little bit underpowered. The Sinus 125cc felt more fun for me on the road than its bigger cousin did, which sounds weird, but it just did. So I don't know, mate. What would you recommend then? Let's say, Aaron, let's say for Marshall, if he wants a second bike to do a little bit of adventure riding, off-road gravel roads, but a lot of road riding as well. What bike would you say?
I mean, I think you've got to put the CRF 250 in there somewhere. I think you've got to have a look at that. I mean, they're super reliable. I mean, that's what we use in Nepal.
Is it?
CRF 2. Yeah. Absolutely brilliant. And we go up to 4,500 meters,
Wow.
To the altitude and stuff like that, and sand riding. But for those kind of countries where you're not on 3-4 lane motorways, they're brilliant. I mean, we haven't had any problems in the 3 tours that I've worked on. We've had no issues with the bikes. They've all got up there, they've all got back, quick turnaround, change a few parts and clean this and off they go again.
That's incredible.
Real low maintenance. And then you've got Steph. I mean, she took one across all 7 continents, didn't she? So lots of people have taken those. I know Austin, he rides one. I think he's still got one. They're popular bikes, but I don't know. They might, if it's just off-road, they might be missing that little something. Because I've got my overlanding head on.
Well, I mean, Marshall is talking about doing road riding as well. So it's light off-roading, but a lot of road riding as well as a second bike.
And there's a lot of aftermarket parts as well, so you can fit it out the way you want it.
Yeah. Hondas, you get parts everywhere, won't you?
Yeah, you get them all over.
Same with the little Suzuki, though, with the DRZ. I mean, surely that's easy to get parts for.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, when I had the issue in Moscow, it was just the person that had the part was in Holland. And that's where I found it in the end. And in fact, were you part of it? No, you weren't. There was someone else. Sorry. I had loads of people all over the world that was trying to search this particular part and trying to find somebody that had worked with the customs paperwork for Russia. That's what the issue was. And I found this guy in Holland, and he was like, "Yeah, I've sent stuff there," and it came straight through. Like, he did it all spot on.
Wow.
And then whenever I needed any new parts, and he was a breaker as well, so the parts were cheaper because he just broke down loads of motorbikes. And if I needed anything, I've ordered stuff from him since being home, just because they're cheaper. And he's just like, yeah, no problem, sends them over.
Awesome. It's funny you said that about Russia. Like, obviously on my trip, I was sponsored by Bridgestone, not financially, but they supplied tires. So they were shipping a set of tires to a place in Moscow for me to get the bike serviced before I crossed Russia. And that's part of the reason that I ended up spending almost 2 weeks in Moscow, was waiting for these tires to turn up, and they just never arrived. They got into Russia, and they just never came to me.
Well,
So it's like,
we
right.
both made the same friend as well in Russia, didn't we?
Oh, Vladimir.
Yeah.
Vladimir Zadorov. He's brilliant, isn't he? Great guy.
I still chat with him.
Awesome.
He sent me a message the other day, and I had I think it was about a year ago, a letter turned up from the Russian embassy. It had been sent from Russia as well, and it was all in Russian. I didn't have a clue what it was, because I had to go to the police when I was in Moscow because I had something stolen from me.
Right.
And it was in a hostel, and I had to do all my fingerprint. And basically, I remember calling up Vladimir. I was like, Vladimir, what's this? And he was taking a piss. He was like, yeah, he goes, basically he's saying that the Queen doesn't love you anymore, and you have to get out of England as soon as possible. Come to the motherland,
come back to mother, yeah.
He's like, yeah, the police want you. Apparently you didn't drink quite enough alcohol. Don't come back here. Drink more vodka.
For anyone listening, Vladimir was I think he might still be, but he was the editor of the biggest motorcycle magazine in Russia. And a friend of mine at the time put me in touch with him, and obviously I put Aaron in touch with him. He's a good boy, isn't he? He's a good lad.
Yeah, he got me so drunk. Honestly, I was on my knees for 2 days. It's worst hangover I think I've ever had. It was really bad, and he just kept on saying, like, tonight we drink vodka, and more friends would come round. I'm like, yeah, I can't do this. And he said to me, and he was like, in the morning, he was like, to be fair, he says, you did okay. If you was an American, you'd be dead.
Did you find in Russia that the further east you went, the people just got more and more friendly and hospitable? I don't know if it's just because I relaxed more into the trip across Russia.
I think so.
But people just seem to be just so open to you.
And it's weird how it changed, because Russia's such a wide country, isn't it? It's like, you got your western part, which is very Europeanized, isn't it? There's a lot of Europe there, and then you've got your far eastern side, but then in the middle you've got this lovely bit of where it shares the borders, with Kazakhstan and Mongolia, and you can see like in all the faces and the skin color different and stuff like that, and it's just like this little melting pot, isn't there, in Siberia of then when you cross into Mongolia, it starts the skin's getting a bit darker and stuff, and then it is nice when you do an overland trip like that, how you see the changes gradually rather than just getting off a plane and then all of a sudden people look different or they sound different or whatever. The food's different. You gradually see these changes, and I think that's one of the best things about overland travel, is just seeing the gradual change and changing with it. The heat.
You experience everything, don't you? As you said, you see it, you smell it, you feel it, you hear it. You experience the whole environment as you go. Like you said about Russia, there's 7-8 time zones in Russia.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's phenomenally big.
Mental. And I tell you what, it's the place as well where I've experienced the worst mosquitoes.
Oh, honestly.
It's not even funny. Like stopping to have a leak, on the side of the road, and you've got to keep all your motorbike gear on, but you've got to get your old boy out. I mean, it must have been bad for you wearing full leathers, but like I
just lifted it out my boot. You know how it is.
Nice.
My wife's watching this going, no,
like,
you didn't.
Walking around, trying to have a pee with your old boy out and wafting the mosquitoes away so you don't get bit. It's a nightmare.
And they can fly at like 20 miles an hour as well. It takes a while before you outrun them on the bike. And when they hit I just remember when they hit your visor, they would like make your head move and literally obliterate the visor. You're like, have I hit a sparrow? Yeah. Have I just hit a sparrow? What was that?
I mean, I learned a cool technique actually when like wild camping. Obviously, putting your tent up, as soon as you open the door, obviously they're going to go inside. So what you do is get my head torch, turn the head torch on, tie a bit of string around it, so they'd all be concentrating on the head torch because it's the light. And then I could then sneak into my tent, and then I could then pull the bit of string, pull the thing, right? And then through the fabric of the tent, I could then reach through and just push the button off, and then that's it. done. I'm in.
Done.
I'm not leaving.
Russia destroyed all those little fairy tale moments I had in my mind, that I would be camping out on the these beautiful vistas, looking out over the glorious countryside, sitting outside my tent with a fire on the go and looking at all I've conquered that day. Russia killed that, because literally I got eaten alive the second I got off the bike. So I'd put the tent up in full kit with my helmet on, my gloves, everything. I'd put the tent up and then I would just dive into it. And that was me.
Times, I know you're not supposed to cook inside a tent, but I'd have my cooker go in, and it was one of those multi-fuel ones. So I've got petrol in that bag, and it's just like, I'm going for it. I mean,
if the petrol doesn't kill me, the mozzies will.
Slept really well that night.
Mate, I nearly killed myself with is it DEET? This stuff was like 95% DEET. It melts plastic. But I remember I put my tent up and I made the mistake of leaving the door unzipped. I think I'd gone to do something. And I came back. Actually, I was pissed as a fart. I was at a biker. I was at a... oh, God. What's the Russian Spetsnaz? I met up with all these bikers in central Russia, and they ended up being Spetsnaz, Russian Special Forces. So it ended up being their biker meet. So I was pissed as a fart, and I left the door of my tent open. So when I've come back, the place is infested with mozzies. So I got the DEET out, and I thought, I'll kill all the mozzies before I get in. And I sprayed the inside of my tent with DEET and shut the door. Gave it 10 minutes, and I literally... under the door, got into the tent and just about died. I mean, like everything just went like that. I only just got out.
Did you ever go to Barnaul?
That rings a bell.
Barnaul?
No. Where's that?
So it's as you come sort of into the mountains. So it's as you're starting to come into sort of Siberia, into that sort of area of Russia. But there's a huge biker bar there, like real popular. You might have gone there and it's got like this half a motorbike. It's massive, like coming out of the wall. Oh, I don't remember. But I remember speaking to someone. I was like, yeah, I'm heading there. They're like, you've got to go to the biker bar. I was like, yeah, I've heard so much about this. And then one guy was just like, just a word of warning. If someone comes up to you and says, do you want an arm wrestle? Just say no. And I was just like, why on earth would I arm wrestle any Russian dude? And they're like, it's not a dude. I was like, oh. They're like, yeah, so many men have been like, well, you're a woman. Yeah, go on then. And yeah, apparently men have been thrown across the bar. And I got in there, and then this woman came up. She was massive. Like, she was strong. And she was like bull. Yeah, she asked me if I wanted to arm wrestle, and I was just like, no. I've heard about
That's you.
But no, not doing that one. And then I was with a friend, and he was like, no, go on, do it. I was like, I'm not doing it. You do it. Yeah. I've heard the stories. But yeah.
So who won?
There's no way I'm doing it. No way. She can win. Take the win. That's fine.
Yeah, don't argue. Do not argue.
Yeah.
But Russian women are pretty special. Mike Phillipson, for you both, do you think the hassle and faff of things like border crossings, visas, carnets, shipping, etc. puts a lot of people doing a round-the-world trip off? If you had the power, what would you change to make it simpler and hopefully encourage more people to do it? I wouldn't. Keep it the way it is.
Yeah, do you know what? It's part of the appeal, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's part of the appeal. Like, I think you kind of want to do it because you want that element of challenge, don't you? Mm-hmm. You want to feel. I knew that I wanted to be out my comfort zone, and I think anyone that's thinking of riding a bike, across continents or whatever, I think they're searching for, I want to be taken out of your comfort zone, explore new things and stuff like that, and I think the whole border crossings and all that paperwork and the faff, it just is part of the trip.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you'll end up talking about it with your friends, and it's all part of it.
Yeah, definitely. I think if that puts you off doing a trip like that, then you probably wouldn't enjoy. I'm not going to say survive, because you probably would survive, but you're not gonna be the type of person that's going to enjoy what the realities of overland travel is, because it's not sanitized. It's not like, going on a trip to Spain or a trip to mainland. It's not like that. It's very, at times it's incredibly raw, isn't it? And you see the absolute best of people, but occasionally if you're unlucky, you can see, teetering on some of the worst of people at times. It can be very raw. It can be very uncomfortable. It can be very nerve-wracking. It can be very, God, I don't know. It's like the extremes of everything, isn't it? The absolute best thing you can ever do.
Yeah. For me, that's part of it.
Absolutely.
That's what I wanted out of it, It's, yeah. I mean, for me, I just want to be taken out of my comfort zone, because I think that's when you learn more, you realize more about the world and things going on around you.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It I think if you made the borders just a simple process of, you just turn up, show your passport, like at the airport, when you turn up, you show your passport, it's stamped, and you're in. If you made it as simple as that, it would take away something, I think, for me. Like the frustrations of African border crossings, Central American border crossings, the frustrations of standing there and queuing, or like you said, you have the fixer going, pay me money and I'll get you in, and you make that mistake, you go, no, I can do this, so you don't pay, and you stand there for 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, you get at the front, you end up paying more in taxes to various different people than you would have if you just paid the chap that was going to fix it all for you. All that sort of stuff.
It's the sodden photocopies. It's like they've got this whole office, and it's like, you need to get this photocopied.
And they've got a photocopier behind them.
The photocopy machine that you have to go to is village down there, but the person who owns it is a relative of the person at the window that you're dealing with, and you're like, come on. And then you get it signed. Now you need another photocopy, but you use the tuk-tuk driver that's like the brother, and you're like, come on, this is a proper family business going on here, isn't it?
It's a booming industry, isn't it? And it's like $1 to join that queue. And you're like, what am I paying this dollar for? Tax. Okay, all right then.
What is it? There was one country I went into, and they said you got to buy insurance. I was like, oh, well, I heard on the internet and from many people that you don't need it. And they're like, yeah, you need it. I'm like, so what is it? And they're like, insurance. I was like, but for what? Is it for me? Is it for the bike? And they were like, no, it's a tax you got to pay. I went, so is it a tax or is it insurance? And they're just like, you must pay. I was like, have you got some paperwork? And they're like, no paperwork, you just got to pay. I'm like, oh, right, okay.
Oh, we're playing that game.
I'm going to ride on. Yeah.
Nice. Mike, like don't let all the borders and stuff put you off, mate. I know Mike. I've been away on a few trips with Mike. Don't let that stuff put you off, pal. You just you'd be fine. Just go for it. You'll be fine. The first time you do them, you literally are blagging your way through it, aren't you? You're just totally blind. But you soon realise what the processes are, and all borders tend to be the same.
Yeah. By the time you get home, you just say, can't touch it. You just say,
exactly.
I can go anywhere in the world now, and it's
absolutely,
just I've had worse.
Got to stand here for 24 hours. Fine, whatever.
It's like public toilets. I can use any public toilet now. I know I've had worse.
Spend a lot of time in public toilets, does Aaron. Paul Foster, good evening to you both. How you doing, Paul? I'm looking into a trip to Nepal. I really want to go to Everest Base Camp. Oh, here we go, it's a punter. If I book onto one of Aaron's trips, will the discount code TeapotOne25 get me 25% off? No, but if you use 75, it'll get you 75% off. So, right, I mean, it's impossible, I appreciate, for you to say, but are you going to be doing more trips to Nepal?
I hope so. I've just had to take on a normal job for a while. So, yeah, kind of need to. There's a bit of with visas with a particular person, and I have to show that I'm more stable.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I don't want people diving into my self-employed lifestyle too much.
Yeah, got you.
I've had to take on a bit of a normal job for a bit, which means I'm not quite as flexible. But I'm hoping that definitely maybe next year or something like that, I can go back to doing some of that. But also for the Nepal tour that that this company does, is we don't go to base camp. So we go up to the upper Mustang region, but then you still get to see, so we don't go to any base camps of mountains, but we still go up to 4,500 meters, and you do ride past things like Annapurna, which is, over 8,500 meters. And it's just ridiculous. You're standing there and you know that you're over 4,000 meters high, which is way higher than any place in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
And you're still looking straight and you're thinking, I'm still under halfway from the top of that mountain. Wow. It's the mountains, until you physically stood right there looking at them. Everyone knows that the Himalayas are big.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot of people that don't realize how big they are.
Oh,
they're huge, absolutely ginormous. But I tell you what, Steph might be a good person to reach out to, because she did a tour to Everest Base Camp on Royal Enfield.
Yes, she did. Good point.
So
Paul, if you sorry to interrupt, man. If you go to either the podcast I did with Steph, there's links to her socials, or just search for Steph Jevons, Jeavons. Search for her on Insta or anything like that, and drop her a link. Sorry. She's great. She'll she'll point you in the right direction, because I think she was working for a company, so I think they might be doing regular tours, so that might be something to check out. But yeah, cool. Right, I've just seen who the next one is. Been waiting on this one. Pete English. Pete has a bit of a reputation. Good evening, guys. Hope you're both fitting well. I was a self-employed floor layer for 30 years, working in thousands of people's homes. In that time, I saw some pretty weird things that people have in their homes. So my question to you both is, what is the most bizarre thing you've seen in somebody's home? Oh dear.
Okay, well, something's just come to my head. I think it's pretty bizarre. Shall I go first?
Yeah, go on.
Okay, so before I went on my bike trip, I was doing chimney sweeping for a bit. I mean, I've had some right random jobs, and
God bless you, Mary Poppins.
So when I'd finish work, and then I'll go out in the evenings and I'll go sweep a couple of chimneys, and it was just all, it was actually quite good money, and everyone always paid cash. But I remember going round to this person's house, and obviously she wanted a chimney swept, and I remember walking into the house.
Wait, sorry.
But she had this little tiny pathway going to her chimney for me to sweep it. There's too many innuendos here, isn't there? But the whole living room was one huge nativity set. Like,
wow.
And it was really weird. It had like electrical lights and everything. Like, I'm telling you, it was, all you had was this little part, and it was all around the ceiling. It was everywhere. All this whole nativity scene going on, and it was just like, I walked in there with all my stuff, and it's like all the lights are going, there was music going, there was things moving on the side, and
this is in our house.
This is her living room. Yeah, the whole living room was made like that, and I just started thinking, I was like, well, like you can't do anything in this room. Like she can do is stand in this little walkway and admire the nativity. Why is she getting the chimney swept? Clearly, she's not using it. Surely.
Who is she expecting to turn up?
I don't know, but that was pretty strange. I mean, I did it and I took the money, but yeah, I sort of walked out and I was like, that's a little odd. Yeah, so that was the first thing really that came to my head. I'm sure I've seen some other stuff.
For me, the first thing that comes to my mind is obviously in a previous life what I used to do for a living. We used to have to do, well, I used to execute a lot of like warrants and stuff in people's homes, so you'd have to go in and search the premises and stuff for drugs and weapons and all that sort of malarkey. And you would always find the porn stash or the sex toy stash and all that sort of stuff. And I remember, have you ever seen, I think it was on It's All Right on the Night. You know that? Remember that sort of compilation comedy show that used to be on?
I think I know what you mean. Yeah.
And they showed a clip of a copper walking out of there's a newscaster doing a piece to camera about some crime that's gone on, and the copper walks out carrying a box, and as he walks past the camera, there's like I think it's a big rubber fist that's doing that as he walks by. Well, I have seen that many, many times in my job, and literally, like, you know, it was almost like as soon as you found the massive big dildo or the double-ended dildo, or like you find the robotic tongues and all sorts, it's like, way, found it. And yeah, you know, if there's media outside, you have to go out carrying the box. It's just got to be done. Yeah. So sex toys jump to mind, but one of the weirdest things I saw was when I first started working in Peckham. I think I had to go and report a young kid that was missing, and when I went into the flat, one of the big high-rise flats, I've gone into the front room, and this family had a proper fire going in the front room, like, you know, with the stones built on like the carpet. Yeah. They'd cut a hole in the carpet, put stones around, and they had a fire in the middle of the living room, which they were cooking on. They had a kitchen, but they were cooking on it, and I was just, okay, so this is Peckham. This is what's going on around here. Funnily enough, that block burnt down about 10 years later. But,
yeah, well, I'm not surprised. Jeez.
Yeah. I used to see some weird stuff in people's homes, man.
Yeah, I bet you've seen more weird stuff than me. I try not to go in random people's houses.
People who have like top of the range BMWs and Mercedes outside, parked on the, you know, in the blocks of flats and stuff. They've got all the best gear, all the best clothing, trainers, massive TVs, but like the house will be full of poo. There'll be like dog poo, animal poo, and maybe other types of poo just on the floor around the place. And you're just like, how do some people live? It's just incredible. Wow. Any other things that you've seen in people's homes?
No, I was trying to think while you was talking, but I think, I don't really go around, like, apart from my friends. Like,
random people's houses.
Yeah, I don't really go, like, you've definitely got more scope for finding weird stuff in people's houses.
One of the coolest things I ever saw, and I thought, I want to be this guy, was on my trip when my frame broke crossing Russia. I got it fixed by a mechanic. I stayed with this family in Novosibirsk, and when we went to his garage to pick up the bike, he was over the moon to work on a jigsaw. He was just like, you know, this is amazing, this is awesome. And he said to me, come with me. So we went up like some ladders above his garage and into his flat, and we sat there was like a bar area. So we sat there, and he had a table made out of a big, huge engine. And in the corner was a Gixxer 750, which was his race bike. This guy was quite a big, fat, older guy in dungarees and stuff. But he had a race bike, and that was his GSX-R 750, which was like on a pedestal in the corner of his bar, which is above his garage, you know, and I'm like, how did this get up here? Because we came up a ladder to get up here. And then you went through some other doors to his like front room, and it was full of about 20 bikes. I've got it in one of my videos, actually. It's full of about 20 bikes. It was like a bike museum. All these beautiful works of art, ranging from like 1930s bikes right through to modern stuff. He just had loads of bikes everywhere. And you're like, you're plainly single. You're single, but you're living the dream.
How much amazing kit, you know, and bikes and stuff like that is just hidden away in people's warehouses and lofts and basements and stuff. You know, you just say, you know, is it ever going to see the light of day again? Do you know,
I know.
Do you know what I
mean? One of my cousins, Dave, he's right into Second World War memorabilia.
Okay.
And have you heard of the War and Peace show over at
Hot Farm?
God. Hot Farm, yeah. Well, he was involved with that group before they sort of split, and one part wanted to go, like, you know, for the mass public, and the other part wanted to keep it, you know, their own little group, their own sort of, not clique, but keep it much less mainstream. So anyway, so he does all these different big shows and stuff, and he was saying, you go around to some people's homes, and when they hear that, like Dave's got a Second World War American GI Jeep, the Crystal Lady, he's got that, which he's done up. That's awesome. But when when people find out about that, they're like, oh, I've got this thing in the garage. And he goes into the garage and he's like, it's like Second World War Czechoslovakian tanks and, Russian tanks, German troop carriers that they just got in a garage, not doing anything with. And he's like...
we were doing a weekend with the army guys. Where did we go? I think it was down to Sheppey. I think it was like Laysdown or something. It was a thing going on a summer weekend, with like some sort of fair going on, and they wanted like a bit of a military presence there. Yeah. And we got asked, would you come along with a bit of green stuff, and some equipment, for the kids, to wear some body armor or something. We're like, yeah, we can do that for the weekend. So obviously it was mostly all the single guys were going down there for the weekend because the weather was hot. We were all trying to find women that weekend. And but then there was a local guy, and he came down. He was like, "Have you got any more equipment coming, like vehicles coming?" We're like, "No, this is it." He was like,
"Do you want some?"
Yeah. I was like, "Sorry, what?" He was like, "Well, I got some tanks." I was like, so we just said, "Yeah, sure." And then all of a sudden, there was the road that was by this field where we were. There was this pickup truck with the old winky pots flashing.
Yeah.
And then this bloody tank is coming down the road. But then there's this other, this armoured fighting vehicle coming behind it. And they're driving out all this thick black smoke as well. And he's turned into the field, and then he's backed it up next to us. And he's like, "Hey, go." And he opened the doors to the back of one of them. He says, "Yeah, if the kids want to go in there and, get photos and stuff like that, then feel free." And I was just like, where did you come from?
Awesome.
Would you like a tank? Yes, please. All right.
Yeah.
20 minutes later, he's there on the field with a tank. There's some people out there have got some amazing kit that's just hidden away.
Have you done Hot Farm? Have you done the War and Peace show at Hot Farm?
No, not with the army, but
I
used to work for a company that does the that had like a little adventure sports center down, like all the high ropes and stuff. There was a zip line and stuff like that. Yeah, I used to work down on that during the Hot Farm, many years ago.
That's crazy to see all that, because people turn up like dressed from the 40s, and they turn up in character, don't they, in uniform?
Yeah. Oh, they're proper going for it. It's like when you do the Dickens Festival or the Sweeps Festival in Rochester. Oh yeah. And everyone's in the full Victorian gear and stuff. It's just, it's amazing. Like, some people get proper into it.
That's my ignorance, because obviously I'm not a local. I'd never ever heard of that, ever. Never heard of it.
Well, you live in Maidstone, don't you?
Just outside, yeah. Yeah, I've never heard of it.
Sweeps Festival. Is it? So you got the Dickens Festival, because obviously Charles Dickens is from around here. So once a year they have a whole weekend, and it's called the Dickens Festival, and it's kind of is in his name. But Rochester High Street, and then they have all the bars and stuff like that. They all bring like their food out onto the streets, and people are selling stuff. There's up at the castle, there's live music and bands. There's hog roast. There's mate, you're missing out. It's great.
Oh God, do you think we'll have that this year? When's that normally?
So the Sweeps Festival is normally, I think, it's like the May bank holiday weekend. So that's probably going to happen. Dickens, I think, is maybe July, August. So
that could, that might happen.
Sweeps, I think, it's Dickens, but yeah,
right.
You should definitely check it out.
When you say Dickens, all I can think of is not that. Have you seen the video doing the rounds of the Aussie cider, Dickens cider? Have you never seen it?
No.
I will send you it. It's hard to describe. Yeah. Anyone that's listening that's seen it will know exactly what I'm talking about. I'll send it to you.
If it's done by an Aussie guy, then it's going to be funny, isn't it?
It's brilliant. It's all about a cider called Dickens cider.
Nice.
Draw your own conclusions. Right. How are you for time, dude?
Yeah, I'm all good.
You're not going out to the discotheque this evening or anything like that?
No, I think I'm just going to have a night in tonight.
Just fancy a night in, yeah. Right, so that's Patreon done. We'll head to Instagram, so that's at TeapotOne Insta. I will put Aaron's socials down below, so if you're listening to the podcast, check out the show notes. If you're watching the video, look at the vid description. There'll be links to all Aaron's socials there. So, first one we have here, Kilted Bushido Builds. What was it about the DRZ that made you go around the world on it? Well, we kind of covered that, but feel free to go through it.
Super cheap, cost 1,600 quid, so I was well happy with that. Easy maintenance. I'm not a bike mechanic, but I could do enough on that to keep me going. Anything bigger, then I'd need a workshop anyway. But also it's the look of it. Like I said, I really, I kind of fell in love with that whole Mondo Enduro look and that feel for it, and I kind of wanted my bike to be, the beaten up, stickers all over it, just something super lightweight, and I was really happy. I wanted to have a bike that I looked at and I was just like, I like that, and it just felt personal to me, all the little bits on it and the dents and the bits of welding and stuff. But it was a great little bike. I had a great time. Good bike.
You said about cost there. How much did your trip cost you? All in?
I think all in, it was just over, maybe around 21 grand, I think, all in, which isn't too bad, really.
No, not at all. God, yeah. Mine was, I think I was about 55 in total. Absolutely.
You went through Africa, though, didn't you?
Well, I got robbed a lot in Africa, yeah. I only did like the top northwest part of it. Only one really, two sort of proper African countries, Mauritania and Senegal, and Mauritania sort of had its way with me, really. But that's absolutely everything. That's buying the bike, medication to go on the trip, visas, buying my laptop that I took, camera equipment, absolutely everything. My camera equipment was a mobile phone and a GoPro. I didn't have a laptop for the whole trip. In fact, I picked up a laptop in Colombia, and it was Ed March. He got a new laptop, and he was like, "Oh, do you want my old laptop?" And I was like, "Sure." So he left it somewhere in Colombia for me to pick up, and I was just like, "Can you make sure you clean it properly and everything?" I was just saying, right, okay. And in fact, I still have it. Blimey, from 2016.
Yeah, I still got the laptop. I mean, I'm not using it now. I've got a different laptop now, but I still have it, and it still works fine. In fact, I was using it up until quite recently. You
plainly don't look at enough porn, Aaron.
Yeah, HD's great.
Right, how about a quick natural break? We have a quick natural break at the moment.
Yeah.
Beautiful. The beer has worked its way through. Folks, listen to the sponsor shout out. Enjoy. We'll be back in 2 seconds. And we're back in the room, folks. Welcome back. Right, we've got a couple more questions to go here. What do we have here? Tour to Oz. As a fellow round-the-world traveller, one meets many unusual and interesting people. Can you recount one where you didn't receive anything as such, i.e. a bed for the night, a meal, that sort of thing? They simply had nothing to give, but you got a heartfelt warmth from simply meeting them and spending time with them, and that was the gift. Thanks, Bruce. Still walking with you each morning on the podcast. Top man. Cheers for that. I'm glad you're enjoying it and you're getting out there and doing something during lockdown. Good on you. Yeah. So people that you met that didn't like give you somewhere to stay, didn't give you food, didn't give you anything like that, but you got something from them anyway. That's a hard question, isn't it?
It is. I mean, I could think of something, but I ended up getting something. So, but I'm going to say it anyway because I think it was just nice. So I was in the Tatacoa Desert in Colombia, and I'd been riding, and I stayed in this little hut one night, and I got up in the morning. And this local came over, and he had his daughter with him, and his daughter was super excited. Like, she'd see this motorbike and all these stickers, and then there was me. I had like this beard and all this, and she was just stood there, just absolutely amazed, like, because she was just never really like this desert. Did you ever go through the desert?
No, I didn't go far into Colombia. I literally went to, okay. Is it what's Medina? Is it
Medellin?
Medellin, yeah. I went there, and then from there, I flew from there to Panama. So I didn't see much of Colombia.
So there's like next to nothing in this desert, but all I remember is just this guy, you know, picking up his daughter and sitting on the motorbike, and we were just having this chat about stuff, and she was just, I don't know, she was just like over the moon about just sitting on this motorbike, and it was just one of those moments where I think we were there for about an hour or so, just chatting, and I don't know, it's difficult to explain. Do you know what I mean? Like how it was the little girl's reaction to not seeing this stuff before, and she was just like, because you know, when you're a child, like everything's so exciting, isn't it?
Yeah.
This imagination, and like I always found it was the children that were really amazing. You know, just their reaction to stuff. Like there was a kid in Russia, and again, like just sitting them on the motorbike, and you could just see they're just like, that's like the best thing that they've done, you know, for days, you know, and they just imagine you. I always sort of think like, one day will they maybe go and buy a motorbike and go to a trip or something like that, because like I don't know, it's just, but yeah. So I got talking to these guys in Colombia, or this guy in Colombia and the daughter, and he was desperate to give me something for my trip, and I was just like, no. I was trying to explain to him, like, you don't have to do this, and he was just like, no, I want to give you a gift or something to take on your trip, and it's really difficult to say no, don't give me a gift. And in the end, all he had like this little poncho that he was wearing, and he took it off and folded it up to give to me, and I was just like, I can't take that, like, you're literally wearing that, and I don't need clothes. And he just wouldn't take no for an answer, and just put it into my bags on my bike, and he was just, no, take this. And he literally gave me an item of his clothing, and I was just like, it just blew my mind, you know.
People will literally give you the shirt off their back, won't they? I find that, like, the people that have the least to give the most, really. You know, it's literally like, I remember in Russia, I ended up going to a little sort of wooden shack hut and staying the night with a guy and his missus, and they literally, you know, the old loaf of bread, home cooked bread, they tore that in half and gave me half, and him and his wife had the other half, and you're just like, you know, and they don't speak English, but you communicate, you get by, don't you? And so jumping back a little bit, you said there about the little kiddies jumping on your bike. Well, that's my first ever memory of a motorbike. Was my dad used to work on the oil rigs, and I remember him coming home on leave with a mucker of his from the rigs, and this guy turned up on a big old Suzuki Bandit, and that's my first ever recollection of motorbikes, was seeing this great big guy sat on a big massive blue Suzuki, and he picked me up and plonked me on the tank of the bike, and he did one little lap round my house, because we lived right out in the country. He did one lap round the outside of the house, and I was just like, that is the coolest thing ever. And my mum and dad were like, no, you're never having a motorbike. But when I turned 32, I passed my bike test. And got my Suzuki. Yeah.
Tell you what, as well, I don't think it's just children either. So like when I got back from my trip, I finished off in Rochester at the cathedral, and like I mean, it was amazing. I had like the Royal British Legion. They gave me this escort from Dover all the way up to Rochester. It was
brilliant, really
good sort of welcome home that day. But when I got there, is it the Dean? I don't think it was
of the cathedral.
Of the cathedral. I'm not too sure of the ranking thing, but she wore all the black. She might have been the vicar or the. I don't know the names.
Bishop or something. I don't know.
Possibly. I don't know.
The chief.
The chief of the cathedral. She came out and she wanted to have a chat, and like the press were there and stuff. And as soon as she came out and started talking to me, that's it. All the local newspapers were taking pictures and stuff. And she's like, "Oh, can I bless the motorbike?" And I was like, "It's a bit late for that, isn't it?" But yeah, but she gave a full blessing of the motorbike. So I don't know how many people have actually got a motorbike that's been blessed by like a chief of a cathedral. So she did all that, and then she was like, "I've never ridden a motorbike before." I was like, "Have you been on a bike?" And she said, "No, they look really exciting." I was like,
"Wow."
"Do you want to ride on the back of my motorbike?" Like, "I don't think I'm appropriately dressed. I haven't got a helmet." And I said to my friend, I was like, "Give me a helmet." So we put a helmet on her, and obviously she's wearing, I don't know what they're called, but those robes. You know, they're not trouser like, are they? So you've got to kind of
hike them up.
Yeah, but she was great. She just jumped on the back, and then my dad was there, and he was just like, "You know, all the papers and everybody's watching. Do not crash.
Yeah, you are going to hell."
And I was like, right. And then so I set off, and we just did a little lap around the cathedral with the vicar on the back of the bike, and ended up in the newspaper. There was a picture of me riding, and she sat on the back as pillion. It was great.
Awesome.
See, maybe she's going to bought a motorbike now. And
I was going to say, yeah. She dropped the clergy and she's off traveling around the world now.
That's it.
Join some biker gang and hanging out with them. Right, Mike Young, 129790. I love some of the usernames that come up here. Mike Young, 129794. How tall is too tall for adventure motorcycling?
I think I remember seeing this question actually.
What's that about?
I didn't come up with an answer. I should have checked out the questions beforehand.
Is that what's too tall a bike or too tall a person?
I mean, I'm 186. So I think that's about 6'1".
You're such a millennial. What's that in proper money? 6'1".
No. The whole imperial system needs to be gone. I know what I am in feet and inches, but I'm one of those people that needs to get rid of it.
No, not at all.
Yeah, we need to get rid of it. It's
height is feet and inches, weight is in stone. There you go. That's it.
Gee,
there is no discussion.
Even the Americans don't know what a stone is.
Well, the Americans don't know anything. Come on. Everything's based on us anyway, so that's the American audience gone.
No, we need to go fully metric. It needs to happen.
I used to like
I don't know. Like, I mean, I don't know. What's the average height?
I mean, I don't subscribe to any of that. I don't think there's an ideal adventure bike. I don't think there is. I mean, I think there's different fits of bike to fit. Like a particular bike, I think maybe you could get two people at the same height, but they'll maybe sit differently on the same bike. Yeah.
I mean, I've got quite long legs and a shorter torso, but then you might have, I don't know, it's a tough one, that.
Yeah. It's just, I don't really know how to answer it other than there is no too tall, there's no too small. It's just, if you're 4'3", then maybe a GS adventure isn't the best idea for you. Conversely, if you're 7'2", I can't imagine you're going to have too much issues sitting astride a big KTM or a big Triumph or GS. Just, take the bike that fits you and makes you smile. That's what I was told.
What's up, my friend Dave Coe, Canadian guy? I was with him in Colombia, and was it Colombia? Yeah, it was Colombia. He had an F800, BMW F800. They're quite tall, and he was quite a short guy. And I know that when he used to sort of come up to the lights, he'd have to sort of prep, and like almost get off the bike, and then waiting for the lights. And as soon as they go, it's like get the bike moving and then jump onto it. I mean, he had a great time.
Exactly. So, you adapt, don't you? You adapt and you make it work.
Work it out. Yeah,
it's like
you work it out.
If you're anticipating doing what I'm going to call proper off-roading, like loads of mud, loads of deep sand and rock and all that sort of stuff, then okay, a Gixxer's not going to be the best idea, is it? because it's going to be bloody hard. They will do it, but it's hard work. Conversely, if you were to take a DRZ400, but you haven't got the first idea how to ride off road, it's still going to be bloody hard work, and you're still going to drop it and fall off, aren't you? It's like, if you know how to ride off road, then probably, if that's going to be your thing, take a good off road bike. But if you don't, just take the bike that you're comfortable on and you like, I would suggest, personally.
Yeah. You'll work it out. You'll have fun. I mean, there's people have done amazing trips on all sorts of bikes. You know, it all depends what you want out of it. I mean, you're going for an image, you know, you're going for trying to get Instagram followers and please sponsors and stuff like that, or are you going because you just love that bike that you have and you just want to ride it more?
It's funny, isn't it? I think that is probably more commonplace now than ever. Like, Instagram wasn't, I don't think Instagram was even around. Certainly it wasn't on my radar when I did my trip 2012 to 14. What about you? Was it around when you did yours, 2016?
Yeah, it was. And I had a real happy medium with it.
Yeah.
And I had issues with social media when I came home, because I felt like I should be doing something. Now I'm back and I felt like I have nothing to talk about now. And I just found like the most random stuff to talk about. I was like, this is just garbage. Like, so I just went off of it. I was like, I have nothing to talk about. What can compete with that?
Now there certainly seems to be there's a lot more pressure, I think, if you want the exposure, and if you want the corporate stuff. I mean, to get corporate backing for a trip like that, even when I did it, 2012, it's like rocking horse shit. You just didn't get it. Now it's definitely out there. You know, companies are open to that sort of approach now, which the biking industry just wasn't when I did it. So obviously your social media is part and parcel of that, isn't it? Your Instagram. I'm looking at your pictures. I nicked some of your pictures from my Instagram post to say you were coming on. Those pictures are phenomenal. Like, are they your own doing?
I had a Samsung S6 mobile phone and a GoPro Hero 4.
Wow. The old Hero 4.
Yeah.
Mate, that's a brilliant camera. It's the one I don't own, and it's the best one GoPro's ever made.
Yeah, I mean, I loved it because it was before. So when I had the GoPro, because it was before phones had all the wide angle lenses and stuff, and I really liked getting that sort of effect for a picture. And like I saw people taking things, and I just used to love just taking snaps. And also the GoPro, you can turn it on one-handed and change the settings, while you're still riding, and take pictures while you're doing things,
Not in the UK, obviously, Aaron. Obviously, not in the UK, but
I don't put any rules or guidelines in the UK.
Never crossed a solid white line in my life or broke a speed limit ever.
No.
Yeah, I mean, your pictures are just. What's that?
What did you get into trouble for in the police?
A disciplinary matter. That's all we'll say. Yeah, I mean, these pictures are amazing, man. They're shit up. They're great pictures. A lot of people commented actually saying how good the pictures were or are. So yeah, cracking job. So go on.
The thing is I mean, it's sometimes it's difficult to take a bad picture when you're hanging over an edge and looking into an active volcano. It's like, it doesn't matter, like, it's going to be a good picture because, but when you're back home and like your normal day-to-day life, it's very difficult to make your daily walk around the village interesting.
But there are people that do it, isn't there? Like the art of composition is just it's an ability, a skill that I do not own, because I go places with mates and just on a bike trip, like a bike run down to like Brighton for a bacon sanny when we used to be able to do that, and my mates will be stood next to me taking a picture and I'll take a picture and like mine is just meh, and you look at theirs and you're like, God, that's amazing. It's just a slight different. It's a different composition. You're like, where'd you learn that? How'd you get that?
And there's definitely nothing wrong with editing, cropping something, or making the colours a little bit more vibrant and stuff like that. I mean, all the phones and screens, everyone's phone and screen is slightly different anyway with the colours and stuff. None of it's quite true. So have a little play around with it. It's just make a fun image. I don't know, yeah.
And there's certainly something to be said about finding your own style, isn't there? And your own style includes things like on social media, like your own colouring, like how you colour an image, because you want uniformity, don't you? That's something I really struggle with. Mine shit.
Yeah.
But if you look at the really successful Instagram accounts, the pictures all have a common theme in colouring that run all through them, and composition.
There's a YouTuber called Peter McKinnon.
Yeah, I love it, mate. That guy's a wizard.
He's just incredible, and like his vlogs and everything are just fantastic. But like his Instagram is it's on point. Like it changes with all the seasons.
Yeah,
it gets warm as you get into it, and it starts getting blue and white, and you're like, you're ridiculous.
and Matty Hapoja as well, his mate. He's great as well.
It's so good.
I picked up Peter McKinnon when he had the same amount of subscribers as I did. I think we both had about 14,000 when he first came on my radar a couple of years ago. And I sat with him, and all of a sudden he just went boom, 100,000, and you're like, you had what I had last week.
Yeah.
He had a couple of he's got like 4 or 5 million now.
Yeah,
like,
it's
bollocks.
Damn it.
Yeah. But you're right. I mean, if you haven't seen his videos, folks, check out Peter McKinnon. It's just stunning. Absolutely stunning. Yeah. Right, so that's the Instagram one's done. I think we have... is there... I think there's one over on Facebook. Let's have a little look. It's just Lionel Blackman. He's just saying, great bike to go around the world on. Nice and simple to work and cheap to run. Awesome. So that's the questions over and done. So, so what's the future hold then? What's next?
It might carry on being a little bit more serious this year. I think it's just at a bit of a pivotal moment with the relationship, shall we say. We've got some big decisions to make, because obviously she's not British. So we might have to, I don't know, we might have to make some decisions this year if we want to live together in this country, which is the plan. So we're gonna have to sort out visas and stuff like that. Hence why I've taken on this job, because I've got to prove that I'm in a stable income and things like that. So I think that'll be exciting, is to move forward with the relationship. When lockdown finishes, I'm just looking forward to getting out rock climbing. I think this summer is just going to be every weekend or week that I can. I think it's just going to be heading up to the mountains and just getting lost. I mean, I've been a little bit cheeky the past 2 weeks. Just 20-minute walk from my house, and I've had a wild camp out on the beach with a fire and my housemate. So I know it's against the guidelines. You're not supposed to spend the night out, but it's with my housemate. We're actually getting further away from people in the village.
Absolutely.
And it's because the thing is there's probably people out there that will say, no, that's against the rules. And it's like, but I really do have to factor in mental health as well.
Absolutely.
And it's like,
totally.
Being cooped up has not done that well for me. I'm so desperate to get out. And it's like, I haven't left the county in such a long time, and I have been sticking with the guidelines. It's like, just let me have this one night with my housemate, sitting by a fire, having a couple of beers, cooking some sausages or whatever, and sleeping in my tent. I just want to feel a little bit of normality just for one night. I'm not hurting anyone. And I think that's fine.
It's not like you're running up and licking the armpit or tongue in the face off of some random stranger, is it? You're with someone that you live with anyway, out in the open. Where's the drama? I just don't. Some people, there are a lot of people that have been out and about on bikes, and personally, my own viewpoint on that is, I don't see anything wrong with it. You know, as long as you're not socialising in big groups, if you're just out on a bike by yourself, you fill up with fuel, you keep your mask on when you do that, you're adhering to the social guidelines. I don't see what the issue is, because if it's, you've got to think about your mental health here. You know, it's driving people crazy. This.
It is. It is. I'm not suggesting that everyone should go out and just blatantly break the rules, but it's you know, it's like you can fudge it a little bit. You know, if they say, you know, don't stay out for the night, you know, don't go around your mate's house or whatever that you've never seen, stay the night there and go get drunk. But if you're camping out on a beach or in a private woodland or something because you just want a bit of normality, then go do it. If you want to just go around out for an hour or two on your motorbike because you need it, because you're going mad, then you got to go do what you got to do, haven't you?
Of course, yeah. And like if you turn up to camp somewhere and there's already a tent there, then bugger off and find somewhere else to camp, you know? Like, you got to have some common sense about it, don't you?
That's it.
Anyway, we're bordering on politics again. Dude,
are
you doing...
Climbing. I'm missing my climbing so much. I need the climbing gyms open.
Yeah. Are you doing the Overland this year?
Yes. Yeah, so I'll be... I think I've just committed to it. So, yeah. Yeah, you?
What, are you presenting?
No.
Just
I mean, I haven't been asked.
I'm sure you probably will. Paddy and Saul had said about come along, but I've already committed to a trip to Scandinavia, which I totally forgot about, but I'm doing that in September, so I can't make the show, unfortunately.
Right,
I'm gutted because I didn't do last year either. So.
Yeah, well, I had tickets for the winter warmer as well, but obviously that didn't happen. But I think the tickets have just been rolled into next year. But yeah, I'll go along to it. I don't think they'll probably ask me to talk because they've asked me for the past couple of events and I've said no. I think it was did it one year and I think I gave a talk like each day, which is not a problem. But the problem is I remember one particular night where I was trying to keep up with you. And I think I went to bed. I think me and Steph and there was a couple of others and we were in the bar. It was like a little mini lock-in.
Yeah.
And we're up on the table and somebody was up on the table doing Bohemian Rhapsody and the whole dance. And it just got and all I remember was going to sleep going to my tent. It was around sort of 3-4 o'clock in the morning. I think I was giving a talk at like 7:30 or 8, and I could barely walk up to the place. And even the guy, the tech guy, he was in that room as well the night before. And as soon as I started, and he was like, "Okay, everything's working." Yeah, he's just sat there. He's like, he's just gone. I thought I was going to have to wear my sunglasses given the presentation. So yeah, it is pretty tough because I like letting my hair down there.
Yeah, I love it. It's my favourite. It's the only one I do, to be honest. It's just such a relaxed, chilled out vibe. If you're into adventure travel, it is well worth checking out. Overlandevent.com, I think it is. It is awesome.
It's such a good event. Really is. Everyone's buzzing.
Yeah, there's no pretension. Nobody's pretentious. There's nothing like that when you get there. You have literally got some of the biggest names, if you want to call them that, in Overland are there, aren't they? And these folk are there in the bar with you. You can go up and chat with them. You can listen to their talks. You can socialise with them. It's just, it's just a great environment. Love it. Absolutely love it.
Just don't try and keep up with you, Bruce.
It's not me. Normally it's like Spencer and crikey.
Yeah.
There's Gareth and Maria with their blooming mojitos and all that. It's very boozy.
There was a lot of sore heads the next day after that. It was a lot of fun, but it was carnage.
Definitely. Awesome, dude.
All right, go on.
No, go on. Carry on.
No, I was just going to say, I just remember like loads of us, because on the Sunday, you got to drive home, haven't you? There was just a couple of us just laying on the grassy field, just in the sun, just trying to sober up before the drive home.
I'm definitely not okay yet. Just give me another couple of hours. Yeah. Absolutely. Dude, it's been awesome catching up with you again.
Yeah. Real good.
Loved it.
Thank you very much for inviting me on.
Pleasure.
Anytime.
Pleasure. We need to do it in person again. Can't wait for the day that we can actually, because you're only up the road from me. So it'll be.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It'd be awesome. Let's do it. Let's make sure it happens.
Not long. That light at the end of the tunnel is getting real bright now. It's there. It's there.
It is. Let's just hope. Let's just keep going the way we're going, and it'll happen.
Buzzing to get out the door and go do something.
Dude, before we finish up, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to? You've got your own business. Is there anyone you want to give a shout out yourself? Feel free. Over to you.
Well, no one in particular. Just just shout out to anyone that's thinking of doing a long
Natalia, obviously. Little hint.
I don't know if she'll watch this. I don't know if she'll understand. She can barely understand me. She's probably not going to understand the Jockey's.
Jockey's racist.
If you're thinking about doing a bike trip or any sort of, big trip, then just go for it. As you say, Bruce, you got to live your life, haven't you?
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. Well, speaking of which, dude, we'll make sure we do that as soon as we can. And in the meantime, mate, look after yourself. Stay safe.
Yeah. And you, take care, mate.
Awesome. And you,
take care, everyone.
Folks, hope you've enjoyed this one. It's been an absolute pleasure catching up with Aaron. Check out all his socials. They'll be down below in the podcast description or in the vid description. Right, folks, keep doing your thing. Just stick in there. We're nearly through all this, all right? Look after those that you love whenever you can, when it's safe to do so, when you're within the guidelines. Get on out there, do your thing, and live your life. Woo-ha! Dude, mega.
Mate, that's a great sign-off.